On this week's Gridiron Report, we have our official Lions season predictions, some miscellaneous Tiger stuff, and then some exciting Pistons news. So let's get into it.
In the heart of the city where the lights grow dim, grit and grind every inch, every rim, from the underdogs rising to the legends that win. It's the Gridiron Report, let the games begin. Every highlight's a journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retire, Gridiron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on blast, beats thundering loud, champions are born from the roar of the crowd. The Gridiron Report, where the stories are proud.
Welcome to the Gridiron Report, your Lions First All Detroit Sports podcast, presented by Mic Drop Studios. Today is Wednesday, August 27th, and we are exactly 1 week from our first Lions game preview. Now, it's not the first Lions game 1 week from today, but next week, this time, we will be going back to our bread and butter, talking about Lions previews. So if you are with us all the way from back last season, thank you, first of all, for still being with us. But if you are new here over this last offseason, a little bit how Kyle and I run our weekly episodes when it's around football season. We'll go in, we will break down the previous Lions game. We'll break down the things that we liked that we saw, any injury updates, win, loss, whatever it is. We'll break that previous game down. We'll talk about the upcoming matchup, some matchups that we want to see, we're looking forward to see, offense, defense, everything. Again, any injuries that pop up, whether we think we're going to win the game, lose the game, we'll probably play guess the line a little bit, and then we'll go on our way. So we are exactly 1 week from doing our first Lions preview, and damn it, it feels like football weather up here.
Man, we're back, man. This is our bread and butter, man. If any listeners who have been with us since the very beginning, this was we call it a Lions First All Detroit Sports podcast. It was just a Lions podcast. It wasn't even a podcast. We were on Twitter Live. We're on different apps. And we're really back to our roots. And Tyler and I could not be more excited for it. I know y'all are excited. Y'all are listening. You know, it's football season. It's football weather, like Tyler said. I wish that down in Houston, Texas, we got football weather in August. It's just simply not the matter. It was probably about 97 degrees today, but we'll get it eventually. I'm happy for you, though, Tyler. I'm happy for all our listeners in Michigan who were waking up to maybe a bit of frost, or certainly northern Michigan. I think they had some frost, but yeah, man, football's in the air. You can feel it. You can smell it, man. Football weather has a distinct smell.
It's so beautiful. My wife is absolutely furious because she doesn't want summer to end. She knows football is right around the corner. We'll be up tailgating for Michigan State this upcoming week. It's 62 degrees right now. It is so perfect. You walk outside, you get a little bit of a brisk, the air is a little brisker. It feels so fresh. It feels awesome. It feels exactly like football weather. And it honestly, it's felt like that for the last week. And so it's been a little bit of a tease that we've had to wait a little bit longer. We did have week 0. You mentioned those games last week over in Ireland. It was nothing crazy, but we actually have college football this week. And then obviously NFL next week. So you're absolutely right. I don't know how you go through more 97, 95 degree days when we have football on. That just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't comprehend for me. It needs to be 60 and we need to have chili on the stove and stuff. So I'm so happy that we actually made it. And not to get sentimental, you just brought up, and it was like a blast from the past. So we're almost coming up on our year anniversary of actually being in podcast form. Before that, like you mentioned, we were just going live on X and Twitter. So if you guys were with us during that, again, thank you guys for sticking with us. And anyone who's new to just the podcast form, or you're watching us on YouTube, or just watching us on clips on Instagram and TikTok and stuff, thank you guys. This is our bread and butter. This is where we thrive and stuff. So yeah, let's get into some Lions news. So we do have, like I said, the preview next week. We'll break down the Packers games, honestly, opening the season on a banger. So we'll have a lot to talk about there. But with the preseason coming to a close, we had a number of guys, as Terry and Arnold pointed out this past week in a TikTok, I think it was, for a number of these guys, this is the worst day of the year. These guys are battling for jobs for the entire year. And a lot of them, their entire lives come down to this week. And for better or for worse, this is the time where teams need to cut down the rosters, get down to 53. And so a lot of these guys' dreams come to an end. And for a lot of these guys, they're given second life and they can, try and make the best with what they were given. So we do have some Lions news to give you guys. First and foremost, probably, I guess you can argue which one's more important. We had the Hendon Hooker release. I want to know your opinion. I don't think this is that shocking. I think everyone is a little bit upset that the Hendon Hooker experiment didn't go as expected. If you guys remember back to that draft class, Hendon was a guy coming from Tennessee, an older guy coming from Tennessee, and a very QB-friendly system. The plays were really kind of padding his stats a little bit, coming off a really terrible injury. So he was sliding. He could have gone in the first or second round, sliding all the way to the third. Kind of was like, who's going to be the team that just like, even if you need a quarterback or not, they're going to stop that slide because you see the value. It was Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions. They stopped it. At the time, I didn't hate it. I was kind of in that boat that like, yeah, we had to stop the slide. There's value at some point. Didn't really need it. And at the time, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jared Goff, we were still kind of questioning whether Jared was our guy. I think there was a lot of people in Detroit who thought like maybe Jared will be the bridge for this year and kind of teach Hendon, who's a little bit older, a little more mature, maybe can come off his injury and step right into a QB role. And then Hendon can be our guy. I think people were thinking that, right?
So, yeah, a little bit. I think at that point, because what was it, the 2023 draft that would have been? So like Jared already had like one good season in a Lions uniform under his belt, and then even his first season in Detroit was, decent. So, but I do think that at least it was a potential vision of having Hendon Hooker as the next man up. Not necessarily like, all right, we're grooming him, but potentially you could see it if he he could potentially get better, get into that role, and we just never saw it. And I think Ty, you said like, it's a bit of a surprise. I think if you would have asked me before this preseason, if you would have told me Hendon Hooker's getting cut, I probably would have been a little surprised. Yeah, seeing the way that he played, those preseason games, like I don't know, man. There's only so much you can take away from preseason, but you would like to see a guy at least perform. You see a guy like Kyle Allen, who we know Kyle Allen's not that good. He's still throwing some dots. Like even backup quarterbacks are, tremendous athletes at the end of the day. They're still one of the best of their positions. I just never felt that with Hendon Hooker. I saw him out there and I'm like, well, he's not nearly as good as Kyle Allen. And Kyle Allen is probably a bottom tier backup quarterback in the NFL. So yeah, man, it's not super surprising. I'm pretty bummed though. 3rd round pick, and I definitely expected more out of Hendon.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like Kyle Allen is not somebody I feel comfortable with being our backup. If God forbid Jared goes down for 2-3 games, I don't trust Kyle Allen to come in and win us a game. So like of all the backup positions or backup spots for Hendon Hooker to be going up against and trying to win, like this should have been a layup for him. And I agree with you. It wasn't a surprise because he looked terrible. I don't have his full preseason stats in front of me. I think he ended up with like 5 interceptions and 0 touchdowns. All the drives that he was leading the offense on, I think only came away with like 3 total points or something. And he was throwing, and it's difficult with preseason. You're playing with different guys in the offensive line. You don't know, but multiple times he was just missing reads, and specifically their last preseason game this past week, you and I were texting like, he was cooked because he was his back against the end zone. He threw the ball, just sailed the receiver right into the and I think the defense just got a turnover or something, and then he immediately gave the ball right back. So like, and on the other side of that coin, Kyle Allen has looked really good. Again, he's not someone I trust to be our actual backup, but Kyle Allen has looked pretty good in the preseason role. Yeah. So it wasn't surprising as these weeks have rolled on. But like you said, if you would have told me 2 months ago that Hendon would be cut and it would be Kyle Allen out of nowhere being our backup, I probably would have been, I would have said that's crazy because Hendon was the guy for a short time.
You talked about Jared Goff, potentially going down with an injury and not trusting Kyle Allen. First of all, firmly agree. Like the season's over at that point. If Jared misses significant time or if he's out for the season, yeah, there's just no recovery from that. But Ty, do you know what button that the Lions can smash if Jared goes down for the season? It's the Kirk Cousins button. Like you can smash available? That Captain Kirk button. Someone is going to smash that button because right now he's still not on an NFL roster. Still available to get picked up, and now I think there are some contract stipulations. Like I feel like, yeah, don't the Falcons like still owe him money or something? I don't know how that would work. I don't know because they gave him guaranteed money, so maybe Atlanta just has to eat all of that, and then a team can scoop him up for free. If that was the case, though, I feel like he would be on some kind of roster. Maybe he's just looking for the right fit for him. But I do think whichever contending team, again, we don't root for injuries, but if it's the National Football League, there's going to be injuries. If there's a contender whose quarterback goes down, they're smashing the Kirk Cousins button. So sorry to go on a rant there, but this is not the last that we've seen of Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk, a local guy. I think that probably would be the route. And I actually think I read something that just said it was either like kind of hinted at or actually straight up said from Brad Holmes that the QB competition hasn't gone the way they wanted it to. Obviously, and kind of leaning towards like they would bring someone else in. If that was the case, I do think like they would bring someone else in. I mean, I would even take like a Tyler Huntley or someone who was just cut, like who has been a decent backup for, he was basically a Lamar copy a few years ago and stuff like that. So yeah, we don't need to go any further on Hendon Hooker. Kind of was surprising. Kyle Allen's going to be our guy until he's not. God forbid anything happens. We'll break that down when the time comes. But we had the Hendon Hooker cut. Again, I said when I brought up Hendon Hooker, it was arguably the most important, the most shocking. In my opinion, the even more shocking was the unfortunate release of everyone's favorite offensive lineman, Dan Skipper. Dan Skipper was a cap casualty. He was released. And I'm kind of surprised in a sense that, like, Dan's not a starting offensive lineman. He's an absolutely massive human being. I think he's like 6'7", 350 or something. Like, he's absolutely massive. So he has a size. He's a prototypical, like, slide where you need him to go to fill in, depth on the offensive line. He fills in perfectly well. He's not going to blow you away, but he's going to do a great job while one of your offensive linemen goes down. He obviously was going out and making some catches and running some routes and stuff for the Lions last year. Kind of just a guy that I think everyone in Detroit liked. So that was a little bit surprising to me. I didn't think they were going to cut ties with somebody like that. But the other side of that is, like, I guess if you are cutting Dan Skipper, you're feeling really confident in our offensive line, because this is a offensive line with big question marks on it. No Frank Ragnow, no Kevin Zeitler. You got second year Christian Mahogany, a rookie Tate Ratledge. Like, if you're willing to part ways with Dan Skipper, you got to feel really good about the other guys you have on that offensive line, or else it's just a boneheaded move.
Yeah, you got to be feeling good. Dan Skipper, 6'9", by the way.
Oh my God.
330. He's got to be. Is he the tallest guy in the NFL? I mean, I know some of these defensive ends are pretty tall too, but
you don't need your skill. Just stand there. Just go out there, stand there, and put your arms out, and you can hold back three guys.
Yeah. So no, super surprising, especially like you said. You lose Frank Ragnow to retirement. That makes it all the more surprising that they are, cutting ties with Dan Skipper. He's only 30 years old too. I actually thought he was older. He's such a massive presence with a huge beard that, like, he looks like he could be 40. So yeah, that's big, man. That's big, especially with, like you said, that offensive line. It's a little bit more depleted. No Frank Ragnow. You got rookies and second years that are really stepping up into big roles. If you have injuries, you would like to think that you could slot a veteran like Dan Skipper in there from time to time. Again, obviously he's not an everyday starter, but he does a lot for this team. I feel like he's the heart and soul. I mean,
I agree.
So yeah, I was super bummed to see Dan get cut.
Yeah, I mean, you just had that clip. We talked about the Lions PR team and how good they are with their post-game clips they put on Twitter and stuff. Remember that clip where Dan Campbell's like screaming in the locker room and Dan Skipper's just puking in the corner, and Dan's like, "Yeah, Skip, you keep puking over there." Like, Skip. Hell yeah. So like, I'm surprised. Now, we should say, just because they were released doesn't mean that these guys won't be on the team. I would bet your stars that they're like praying that no other team comes knocking. 6'9", I don't know why a team wouldn't try and scoop him up. Just again, because he does fine as a backup. He's got the overall size. Like, I don't know why any team wouldn't want him. But all these guys that are being released are not. I shouldn't say all of them. Most of them, they're probably hoping don't get picked up and just can be assigned to the practice squad to be brought up at any point during the year when injuries do kind of come through. So it's like there's a chance Dan Skipper is still on this roster come week 3, week 4, depending on how things play out. But kind of was surprising for both of those.
And just one more thing on Dan Skipper. Wikipedia has him at 6'10" and the tallest active player in the NFL. So
that's almost too tall. That's honestly almost too tall for an offensive lineman. Because, like, how can you get? Maybe that hurts him because, like, it's all about pad level, and you got to get really low if you're 6'10", or else defensive linemen can get right under you. Yeah,
dude. Just talking about Skip so much. I mean, I'm just thinking of Troy's T-shirt. Dan Skipper reported, like, oh man, I'm bummed, man. He's a legend.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, so he still could come back on this roster. I would be shocked if another team doesn't try and scoop him up because, again, the tallest guy in the NFL. But the other one is a little bit there was a number of different guys. You had Jackson Meeks, receiver, who played really well throughout the preseason. Unfortunately, our receiving room is a little bit stacked at the moment. We just couldn't take 7 receivers going into the season. So Jackson Meeks was a casualty of that. He's a Syracuse guy. Really played well. I think their goal is just to get him back onto the practice squad, and if anything happens with anyone, they can easily bring him up. Again, that's hoping that no one actually comes and scoops them up before they get to the practice squad. But the one that was really surprising, that has people still confused, myself included. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know the ins and outs of how this contract worked, is Ahmed Hassanin. So Ahmed was I think the 6th-round draft pick out of Boise State, the edge player, the only edge player we really went out and got this past offseason. And a lot was put on the kid. I mean, people said he had the drive and like the passion to kind of be a late round gem. People were really in love with that pick, and then he was playing really well in practice. We saw report after report that he was playing well. He was learning from Aiden Hutchinson and like basically being a sponge and taking it all in and playing really well. Unfortunately, he went down, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, with a pec injury, similar to Ennis Rakestraw, and that like Dan Campbell wasn't saying exactly how long it's going to be out, but he alluded to it being a really long time. Likely, I think we were on last week saying it likely is going to be season ending. So they went ahead and they waived him with an injury settlement. So I don't know. It's a little bit confusing online. Obviously, they want the roster spot because he was a rookie. He's a rookie gets me out for the entire year. They want that roster spot for someone else who's actually going to contribute. But there is people online talking about now he'll be a free agent as soon as he's healthy and can sign with another team. I don't really know how that works because he was a rookie he was just drafted this past offseason. He's still a rookie. I'm really hoping, there's a lot of people talking about him. I'm hoping that's not the case and that he can still just, along with everyone else, be assigned to the practice squad, go through the year training and rehabilitating and kind of try and fight for a roster spot next year. But a little bit confusing. I guess more information to come out on how that contract will really play out for him.
Yeah, this one's interesting. I'm kind of just reading about it too. That another team can claim him off waivers, but at this point, with the 53-man rosters set, it's probably more unlikely that someone's going to then cut a player, sign him. Just like you said, he's more of a project. He's that 6-round player. So yeah, and with the injury too. So I don't know what that means for his future. If he's just out of the NFL, or maybe next year the Lions still have plans for him to bring him back. But a bit disappointing. You never want to see a draft pick from the current class, even a 6-round pick. You never want to see them not make the roster. You want to have a vision for them. And I get it, it's an injury, and they're probably not really saying everything about the injury, so it's all speculation. But still, a bit disappointed, just given that we've seen the Lions defensive end rotation. It's been decimated. Last year decimated with injury. This year didn't really pick anyone up, so it's still a bit thin. So you would have liked to see a piece like him woven in there into that rotation. So we'll see on that one.
Yeah, I mean I would assume they definitely, similar to some of these other guys, are like really crossing their fingers. Like you mentioned, I don't think they need to cross like that hard because not many teams are out there hurting or have like that little of people where like they can take a waiver on a guy who hasn't played a down in the NFL, is going to be out all year, and even at that is a project. It's a 6th round. It's not like he's second round draft pick that like someone would see the talent. So I think he probably will be assigned to the practice squad and kind of just rehabilitate down there and come back next year and fight for a roster spot. But that brings me to my next point, and that like last I checked, after all these cuts and waves, the Detroit Lions only have 3 active edge players on their roster, which is honestly a terrifying sentence to say. Even like if we are semi-healthy, that is not enough rotation. That's just guys playing every single down, and that's if everyone stays healthy, which we have a guy like Hutch coming off a major injury. He looks great. Every report saying that he'll have no effect on him, but you never know. You have Marcus Davenport, who can't stay healthy 3 days, so I'm worried about that. So we only have 3 edge players on roster at the moment, which leaves the door open for some other guys. You have some other guys like Jadeveon Clowney. I think I saw a report that he maybe was already talking with the team. But then the main one that we've talked about a number of times on this podcast and talked about him last year at the trade deadline is Zadarius Smith. Zadarius Smith was very vocal about how he wanted to come back here to Detroit. He loved it here. I don't remember if he had family here in Detroit or not, or if he just kind of wrapped his arms around the city and became one with Detroit. I think he was still living here in the offseason. Like, he wants to be here. We just kind of were saying, like, yeah, he will be back eventually. It's just a matter of time. Still, like we said, a week or 2 weeks away from the season starting, and we don't have he's not on a team. So I think now's the perfect time to give him a call. You only have 3 edge players on the roster. Give him a call and get him on this defensive line, for God's sake.
Yeah, dude, that's insane, man. Like, I almost took a double take, like 3. Is that correct? Like, I mean, typically you run no less than 5. I would say 5 would be the minimum that you would want edge rushers, just to have that rotation and, have that depth in case there's injuries. Some teams have 6, 7, guys, edge rushers. So yeah, I mean, that's insane, man. So I don't know if they've been talking with Za'Darius and they're like maybe gonna bring him back, but again, like the 53-man rosters are set. I mean, I get that you can move guys to practice squads and still sign guys, but yeah, I mean, who knows if Z is even in playing condition. Like I mean, it's probably something you gotta just take his word for. He didn't go through any kind of training camp, mini camp, nothing like that. So yeah, 3 edge rushers is alarming. You gotta think that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have some kind of path forward to increase that number, because 3 is insane.
Yeah, they're not idiots. They're not like just sticking their heads in the sand. If we know about it, they know about it. I would think with Za'Darius Smith, given his age, I don't think he probably would have taken that much in training camp and preseason anyways. He's not like, he's up there. He's one of the veterans. He likely is a guy that was going to, do his own thing as offseason, whatever works for him to keep his body in shape and what to his level, and then kind of roll up for the start of the season. So, like, I think we're still on track with, like, that. Even if he was on the team, I wouldn't have expected to see anything from him. But, yeah, give the guy a call, for God's sake. Let's get him on this line. But so those are the releases, the cuts, the roster updates that we've had over the next few days. Hopefully things take a little bit more, coming a little more in view, and we can kind of decide. Hopefully we have another edge player on this roster. But we're not going to break down the schedule. Kyle and I broke down the Lions schedule back in May when the schedule was released. We actually went game by game, broke down the matchups, home field advantage, the line that we think it would be, win or loss, everything like that. So if you guys are interested in an actual game by game breakdown, that was back in May. Go find that episode. I'll go through the schedule just to refresh everyone, and then I'll go through what we both had predicted us at. So we start the season at Green Bay, at home versus Chicago, at Baltimore, at home versus Cleveland, at Cincinnati, at Kansas City, at home versus the Bucks, a bye week, at home versus Minnesota, at Washington, at Philadelphia, at home versus the Giants, at home versus Green Bay, at home versus Dallas, at LA Rams, at home versus Pittsburgh, at Minnesota Vikings, and we wrap up the season at Soldier Field at the Chicago Bears. So when we broke that down game by game, we took everything into account. Thanksgiving, there's a game on Christmas, I believe, in there. I had us going 13-4. You had us going 12-5. How do you feel about your 12-5 now that the rosters have really shaken out? The preseason has come and gone, coaching staff, everything has kind of settled. How do you feel about your 12-5? Do you still feel confident? You think we're going to up that? We think we're going to fall a little short of that? What are we thinking?
I still think that 12-5 is going to be my prediction. And just one last thing on the Lions roster, I did just look it up. Yeah, the 53-man rosters are out. The Lions only have 50 guys on their roster right now, so they have room to make moves. So that's interesting. We'll see what happens there. But
so Darius, stay by the phone.
Yeah, exactly, please. And maybe another couple edge rushers as well. But yeah, I'm good with my 12-5. I am looking at this record, or I'm looking at the schedule, and although it is a gauntlet, it's a much harder schedule than last year. Just given that the crossover games, they're better divisions this year than last year. Last year they played like the AFC South, NFC West, both like down, just not very good divisions. This year I think who are they playing? The AFC North, I mean, gauntlet, really, really good division. I think there are other crossovers, NFC East, so another pretty good division there. But I do see that a lot of their games, the back half of the schedule, are either played at home or played away but indoors. So a lot of indoor games back half of the schedule. I know there's a lot to be said about Jared Goff playing in the cold. In years past, it seemed like he couldn't do it. Last year, I think he did. They did everything. He was good last couple of years. So no, I don't think that's a huge factor, but I would rather play indoors than not, especially in the elements. You got Pittsburgh late. That's going to be indoors. So I will say that's favorable. All that being said, I still think 12-5. I think we're going to see a little bit of win regression. Obviously, you're not going to go 15-2 again. That was an insane season. Just given the amount of playoff teams that they play, I mean, you got to play the Chiefs. You got to play the Ravens. Both those teams on the road. You start off the season at Green Bay. So hell, just starting off the season is going to be, very, very difficult. At Washington, revenge game. At Philly, like both Super Bowl teams. And you got to go to their house. I just think that it's a tough schedule, man. But I do think 12-5 is certainly attainable.
Yeah, part of me wants to stick by my guns. When we went through it game by game, I felt confident about this, but we just didn't. We obviously, Frank was still on the team when we made these predictions and stuff. We were kind of hoping we would add more to the defensive line. Both of those have kind of fallen not on the Detroit Lions benefit side. So I'm going to drop my prediction, my official season prediction, to 12-5, like you. I think the I think we'll start the season hot against Chicago and Green Bay. I think we take both of those, and then I think we just go in that gauntlet of Baltimore, Cincinnati, KC, and then Philly. That second quarter to half of the season, I think is going to be really brutal. And I think, being the stupid fans that we are, the stupid, passionate, emotional, recency bias fans, I think there's going to be a little bit of concern going through those weeks. I think it's going to be a little bit brutal, and I think right around the Giants game. So after that Philadelphia game in Philly, we play the Giants at home. I think, chat clip this, I think we're going to come home, we're going to put a beat down on the Giants, and it's going to kind of take us back to where we think we were going to be, and kind of ride out the rest of the season with a bunch of wins to kind of right the ship and get us to where we need to be. I think there's going to be a little bit of concern going through that middle of the season record there, and we're going to be able to ride it with the New York Giants. But I'm going to drop my prediction down to 12-5 as well. I think just everything that's happened over the last few months, I think 12-5 has us dropping some of those important games, and then like maybe one that we probably should win elsewhere in
Respectable, very respectable. Thank God we have like at least one patty cake game against the Giants, who are just putrid. But I mean, I'm just looking at the schedule. There isn't that many games where I'm like, okay, this is an automatic win. I mean, you go, you play Cleveland at home, I think automatic win. Giants, automatic win. Pittsburgh at home, I think Pittsburgh's going to be worse than they have been in years past. In years past, they've been painfully average. So I think that's a pretty easy win. But then besides that, man, I mean, this schedule's hard. Obviously in division, I mean, the NFC North, I think is not a hot take at all. I think it's going to be one of the best divisions, if not the best division in football again. Like, I mean, I'm hoping for some regression from a team like the Vikings, because otherwise, man, I think the Bears are going to be good. I think the Packers are going to be damn good. So, yeah, man, there isn't a lot of easy wins on this schedule. It's going to be a grind.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I'm saying it right in the middle of the season. As professionals as we are, and I'm the absolute worst at this, we could, any one of our teams, the Pistons, Tigers, Red Wings, Lions, like any terrible outing, and I'm doom and gloom, season's over, forget championship aspirations. I'm the absolute worst of that, hand up. And I know for a fact, the middle of that season, in the middle of this schedule, it's gonna get brutal. And I think we'll come back to this clip, and we're gonna say like, hey, we knew it was gonna get tough and gritty right here in the middle of the schedule. Now let's flip this on its head. Let's get a few get right games, and then just power right into the playoffs. We got to remember this time, because it's gonna get brutal right there in the middle. I agree with you on that.
Especially because like we were so spoiled last year.
Yeah.
Like I almost forgot how to lose. Like, and then obviously the playoff game, and I wanted to jump off a bridge, but this year there's going to be losses. Like it's like you said, we gotta try not to hit the panic button, because that during that gauntlet, especially that gauntlet, at Cincy, then at KC, like ooh man, and then you got the Bucks at home after. Like the Bucks are going to be
always frisky.
Good,
They're always frisky.
Yeah, dude. Beat the Lions last year at home. Like, so yeah, man, it's gonna be tough. But yeah. Okay, so we're both at 12-5, respectable. Obviously, we have the same brain, so we're going to go with the same record there. So sorry to the listeners. You don't get a lot of parity there between Tyler and I. But do we want to break down bowl predictions, MVPs, things like that?
Yeah. So if you guys remember when the Detroit Tigers season opened, we did the same thing. We broke down who our MVP is going to be, most improved player, comeback player of the year, a few things like that, where we're going to finish in the division. At the end of the Tiger season, we'll go back and find those clips and figure out how we landed on those. But yeah, let's do the same thing with the Lions. So let's go with the easiest, first and foremost, MVP of this upcoming season. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, for me, I thought about this. My MVP, it's going to be Hutch. This is okay. A guy where last year you just felt his presence or lack thereof. When he went down, I mean, the defense was not the same. I mean, the things that he can do with not only just sacks, but he does get to the quarterback, but the pressures, which, I mean, we know, advanced metrics. I mean, if you pressure a quarterback enough, like he's, going to get errant throws, interceptions over the long haul, over the course of a game, over the course of a season. Like he can impact the game so much, literally on every single play on defense. I think, we're going to go into bold predictions. This won't be my bold prediction, but I do think that he's going to lead the league in sacks, and he's going to set the pressure record. I don't think that's very bold. I think he was probably on pace to do both of those things last year before his injury. So That's why I'm going to leave that out of my bold prediction, but I do think he's going to be the MVP of the Lions, and our season is going to go as far as Hutch will carry us.
Yeah, I love that. I think I mean, there's only a few guys, in my opinion, on this team that I think you could consider to be up for consideration for MVP. He's definitely one of them. I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. He's going to be my MVP. I think it's going to be difficult for him to replicate the fantastic season he had last year. He lost some offensive linemen, the changing of guard with the offensive coordinator. But I think it's going to be a little bit more. For last year and everything we had for a few years, we've had Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery kind of, 1A, 1B. And I think just slowly every year it's become more 1 and 2 rather than 1A and 1B. And I think this year it takes another step in that. So I think while his efficiency might not be as insane as it was last year, I think he's going to take a lot of those extra carries that Montgomery might have gotten last year and eat with those. We saw them when Montgomery went down last year for a few games. Jahmyr Gibbs was easily able to take that bell cow role and just, have insane games. So I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the MVP this upcoming season. I don't know what his number is going to be, but I think he's going to, again, less efficient, but he's going to take advantage of the extra touches he gets, and he's going to be our MVP this upcoming season.
Hell yeah, dude, I like it. I mean, he was the NFL's touchdown leader last year, scored 20 touchdowns. So yeah, he's got big shoes to fill from himself, but yeah, he's incredible, man. I would love to see more touches from Jahmyr Gibbs, but I will say it scares me a little bit just because from a longevity standpoint of a running back. Granted, Jahmyr's only 22, maybe just turned 23 years old, so still extremely young. But what I love about the 1-2 punch, Montgomery and Gibbs, is that Monty's soaking up a lot of those touches, and he's no Joe Schmo. He's still an awesome running back in his own. So I want to give Monty touches as well, but I do see where you're coming from. There's just no one is more electric on this team than Jahmyr Gibbs, and maybe in the entire league. So he's incredible. You want to give your best player, your fastest player, the best player in space. You want to give him the ball as much as possible. So I like how Johnny Morton has said they're gonna line him up wide, out of the slot, running routes. I think it's gonna be a matchup nightmare. There's also been rumors that he's going to have more first touches, so he might start more games where Monty was kind of more of the starter for a lot of the games last season. You bring Gibbs in after like a drive or two. So I love all that. Just I want longevity as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit. Running backs, we know the life cycle of a running back, and it's not great. So I hope they can do this professionally and responsibly. So he's going to be my MVP. Let's move to most improved player. Someone that maybe had a down year last year, whether they're on our team or on another team. Who's going to be your MIP for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I don't know if this even counts, most improved player. I'm going to go with a rookie, which I know it doesn't count because he was literally not in the league last year, so how could he improve? But yeah, we're thinking outside the box here. I'm going with Isaac Tesla. I think that from an improvement standpoint, I think we will see from the first game of the season until the last, I think he's going to get a lot better. Also, not a hot take. It usually takes wide receivers a bit of time to get up to speed. I mean, even guys like Justin Jefferson, one of the best receivers in the league, to start his rookie year, I think, first 6-7 games, he wasn't amazing. It's because he was a rookie, and then he really, he comes on. And I'm not saying that Tesla is the next JJ by any stretch, but I do think that we're going to see him improve a ton this season. And I mean, he's shown some flashes, man. I think he's big, he's quick, and it seems like he can run routes, and his hands are there. So that's basically all you need to be a good, wide receiver. I don't know if he can block or not. I'm assuming if he's a big guy, he can probably block as well. But I'm pumped. He seems like, without even a snap in the regular season yet, that he solidified himself as the Lions' go-to number 3 guy. Not counting guys out of the backfield or tight ends, but just strictly receivers. He seems like he's a damn good wide receiver 3. So I think we are going to see him improve a lot. He's going to be my most improved player.
Yeah, I like that because I think every single game that passes, we're going to get him moving more into that third receiver role. Like you said, each game, he's going to gain more trust and just slowly overtake Tim Patrick. I think I was actually looking this up because I was like, he's playing so well in the preseason. How does his metrics compared to Tim Patrick? They are the exact same height. I think they're both 6'4" and within 5 pounds of each other. So they're a carbon copy size of that X receiver that Detroit never really has had a real solid X receiver, and since Calvin Johnson, maybe was Kenny Golladay considered an X receiver? I can't remember. He had that one good year with Detroit before he left and was shit with the Giants. And so I think that's a great call because I think every game he's gonna just gain more and more trust and respect, and eventually he's gonna end the season easily as receiver number 3. So I like that with you, with him. My most improved player is gonna be Terrion Arnold. I think last year he got picked on a bunch. You just mentioned how difficult it is for receivers to make the transition to the NFL. The other probably most difficult position for players to go from college to the NFL is cornerback. You're going up against just absolute specimens on the offensive side there in the receiving room, and it's extremely difficult. He was thrown into the fire, and he got picked on a lot. He got picked on a lot from the refs. There was a big, the flag issues. It's very handsy. It's kind of just how he played in college. He was getting called for it a lot in the NFL. I think by the end of the season, he cleaned it up a lot. It's not great. It's not perfect, but he cleaned it up a lot. And then his numbers kind of like dropped down enough where like we weren't talking about them as much. And which for a rookie cornerback is all you can ask for. That you're not talking about how bad he is. He's holding his own, and especially on a defense that was running so much man coverage. Like he was on an island a lot of times against receivers. Now he wasn't always going up against the number 1 receiver, but he was holding his own, and we weren't talking about him in a bad light by the end of the year. I think this next season is going to be it's going to take off. I think he's going to be a lockdown guy. He's still going to be handsy. He's still going to get the flags thrown on him every now and again. That's just how he is, how he plays. But I think he's going to show and take a huge step this upcoming season where he's going to be a legit, not just like we're not talking about him in a bad light. I think we're going to be talking about him actively in a good light this upcoming year.
I love that. This is a huge year for Terrio. And yeah, you said it, but he did improve a lot. He was under the microscope for sure, especially the first probably quarter, half the season with his defensive pass interferences. He improved a ton. And like you said, the Lions, at least this was under Aaron Glenn, they expected the most out of their cornerbacks. They ran more man coverage than any other team in the league. So we will see how, Kelvin Shepard, the Lions' new defensive coordinator, how he approaches man versus zone coverage. I have to think he's going to be pretty similar to Glenn.
Yep.
I mean, he coached under Glenn, so I have no reason to think otherwise. And so, yeah, the Lions have a couple really good corners. I think the addition of DJ Reed is really going to help Terrion Arnold too, like take a little bit of pressure off of him, a little more of a veteran presence too, to coach him up. And I think this is a huge year for him and a big leap in year 2. So I love that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a lot more of the same, just better. We have comeback player of the year. Do we really need to, it has to be the same comeback player of the year, right? There's really only one guy who is nationally the favorite for winning comeback player of the year.
Yes, it's definitely Aiden Hutchinson. I will say I did for the Lions. Obviously, it's going to be Hutch as well. If you come back from breaking your leg and you have, a season which we think that Hutch is going to have, you win comeback player of the year. Lions, nationally, whatever. But I do have another guy who, if it wasn't to Hutch, I think it's going to be this guy. And really more, it's a hope than a prediction. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm going for it. Marcus Davenport.
I knew it.
Yeah. Comeback player of the year, Lions comeback player of the year, Marcus Davenport. Everything that I've heard from camp, he is the healthiest that he has been. I think he had a pectoral injury that, he missed all of last season except for a couple games. Apparently no lingering effects from that injury, any other injuries that he's had, and he's had a boatload. The dude's essentially played, three games total in 2 years or whatever that is, especially with the Lions' current defensive end roster, edge rushers, only having 3 right now. They're not gonna start the season with just 3, but this is a huge year for Marcus Davenport. He's the number 2 guy. I mean, he is the guy that's lining up alongside Aiden Hutchinson, other side of Aiden Hutchinson. And yeah, if he can just be a very good form of his former self, his 26-year-old self that, still played a full season or almost full season. Now he's, I think, 28, 29. But yeah, he's going to have a monster year because if you're doubling Aiden Hutchinson, you got another guy coming off who's, he's certainly not, you can't double both guys. So he's going to rack up sacks. He's going to rack up QB pressures, and I think he's going to be the Lions comeback player of the year, other than Hutch.
I love that so much because I'm on the exact same mindset there. Like Hutch is a layup. Like Hutch is in line to win comeback player of the year and defense player of the year. Like nationally against all teams, you take Hutch off this team, I think it's Marcus's award to lose. I think I agree with you. Everything I've heard, he's had a fantastic camp. He looks great. He's still relatively young. He still has the talent. He was a wrecking machine when he played those 2 games last year. And as soon as we lost him, the production went down elsewhere. So I agree with you. I think it's all a big if. Got to stay healthy. But I think if he can stay healthy, he is going to be right up there with like not on the same level as Hutch, but like comeback player of the year wise on this Detroit Lions team. I think absolutely deserving. So that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up.
And I think the saving grace with him too, it's not like he's coming off like an Achilles or an ACL from last year, and it's going to be lingering. And he's, this is a pec injury that apparently he's completely fine from. I don't know much about pec injuries, but it certainly seem like they're a lot better to get than if you blew out your knee. So again, not a doctor,
not doctors,
but yeah,
seems
I mean,
like it.
he's healthy, man. So I'm expecting big things.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, all right, let's wrap up our Lions stuff. We've done a lot of Lions, so I actually know a lot of our listeners zero in on the Lions, so like they're gonna be happy that we're doing this much on the Lions stuff. But let's wrap up. One bold prediction for this team. I think before we do that, like I guess I should say, where do you have us finishing in the division? I think I know where we're both finishing. Where do you think we're finishing the division?
I have us winning the NFC North for
same.
A 3rd straight season.
Yep. Okay, so we're both there. We don't really need to go into that. Bold prediction. Give me your bold prediction for this team. Is it team-wide? Is it offense-wide, defense-wide? One player? What are you thinking?
I like this one a lot. This is a player prop. I think another big season loading is a player who had a big season last year. My bold prediction for the Lions is that Jameson Williams will lead the Lions in receiving yards.
Shut the fuck up. Oh my God, dude. That was so... Okay, when I get to mine, I'll tell you why. You think?
What? Okay, all right. Well, you told me to shut the fuck up, so do you want me to keep going?
Mine's about Jameson Williams too. Continue.
I think, and this isn't a crazy bold prediction, but really it is. I think when you have a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown in your receiving room, one of the best receivers in the entire league, Amon-Ra St. Brown's over under is 1,075 yards. JMO's is 900 on the dot. And so that's a pretty big discrepancy. And I think that is a pretty big, bold prediction for me. But I think that, as teams cue more and more on St. Brown, another thing, I think that the Lions offense wants to take the top off the ball more than they did last year. I think they're going to want to, force that ball down the field. And JMO, just no one can guard him. He's faster than almost anyone in this entire league. He's a matchup nightmare. I think that he's going to break out again. He had 1,000 yards last year. Still missed how many games with his suspension. I think that another bold prediction, Jameson Williams doesn't miss any games. It's probably more bold, but I think he leads the Lions in receiving yards. And I think he does break his own record. He's going to go over 1,000 for sure.
So I'll tell you why I thought for sure you were going with the exact same bold prediction that I had, and you switched it up at the very end with the receiving yards. But I'm right there with you with Jameson Williams. It's a Jameson Williams year. He's just absolutely going to eat, partially for the reason you just mentioned. He's not going to miss any games due to suspension. Never know what happens with injuries and stuff like that. Due to suspension, not going to miss any games.
Right.
Calling that right now. My bold prediction for this upcoming season, Jameson Williams hits double digits receiving touchdowns. Let me just say double digits touchdowns, not just receiving, double digits touchdowns. I'm going to get him more involved with the running game. He's going to have double digit touchdowns this upcoming year. Last year, he had 7. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 12, I believe. I think Jameson Williams hits double digits. I don't know if he's going to finish with more touchdowns than Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I think I agree with you. I think it's going to be an absolute coming out party for Jameson. Another year under his belt, just getting mature. All we're hearing reports from camp that he's one of the most mature players on the team now, and he's done this and that, and he looks so great, and he's always had the speed and the talent. So, like, putting it all together this upcoming season, I think he finishes. I think both of our bold predictions are great. I think he finishes leading the team in receiving yards, and I think he has double-digit touchdowns.
This is a huge year for JMO. Year 4. He's still only 24 years old. He's super young, man. Came into the league pretty young, at just 21. And yeah, he has all the talent in the world. If he can just keep it, in between his ears mentally, and I really do think that he's growing a lot. I just feel like this locker room just knows how to get the best out of players, and so I do think they're going to get the best out of Jameson Williams. But I think that at heart he's a great kid. This is going to be a huge year, and he's unguardable.
He's unguardable. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we picked up his 5th-year option, so he's on a contract year still, so he needs to have a big year.
I think that is exactly right. So yeah, it's a big year for him, and he's going to deliver.
So a lot to expect there. We're running on about almost 50 minutes on the Lions, so let's wrap this up. The last thing we have to say about the Lions, finally, the Trey Hendrickson saga this year at least has come to an end. The Cincinnati Bengals worked out a new deal for him, or at least just figured out different things within his deal. So he is going to be playing for the Cincinnati Bengals this year, not coming to Detroit. He still will be a free agent next year. So I'm sure this upcoming offseason, we'll dig this back up, and Trey Hendrickson to Detroit will be come back alive. But for now, we can finally put that boy to bed. Thank God. We're going to go to a quick break, and then when we come back, we will be jumping into some real quick Tigers and Pistons stuff.
All right, let's chat on the Tigs a little bit. Some Detroit Tigers talk, Ty. They've been playing well, obviously. Last night's game, I did fall asleep in like the 6th inning, 7th inning.
It was a late one.
That's right around where, just chaos ensued. It was the 7th inning. And I was looking at Skubal's stat line, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on here? Like six runs, 1 earned run, 12 strikeouts, no walks. I'm like,
yeah,
Jesus Christ, what happened here? And I had to do some like investigating. Twitter was up in arms because he only had 1 earned run, but they're claiming that it's rigged. It's basically the MLB wants Skubal to win Cy Young or whatever. Really, it's the MLB's own rules on how earned runs work. So I guess just real quick, it had to do with errors. And the fact that the ZMAC error in the 7th, followed by 2 strikeouts, would have been, and the inning would have been over. Skubal would have only given up 1 run. It was a home run before that error occurred. But because that error happened, the 2 strikeouts weren't enough, and with 2 strikeouts, with 2 outs, Skubal gave up a grand slam. So yeah, neither here nor there. It's literally just the MLB's rules. But I thought that it was kind of funny that Twitter was all up in arms there. And yeah, I guess there's just a big Skubal versus Crochet, who's pitcher for the Red Sox, having a fantastic year as well. Just want to say that Skubal still has a better WAR than Crochet, better ERA plus, more strikeouts, better K rate, less walks, and a better walk rate. So yeah, I still think that Skubal is, he is obviously the betting odds favorite. I think he's still going to win Cy Young. So just want to say, people on Twitter, people on X, calm down a little bit. Like, Skubal had 1 earned run. It's the rules.
Yeah, they better figure it out, though, because like those errors they had, even the game before, a few games ago when they were up a big time. What was it, the Astros? I don't remember. It was one game we were up big time, and then slowly the other team started chipping away, and we had some errors, and we were able to come away with a pretty comfortable win. But this is not a super great defensive team. They better start, tightening those bolts and making their defense a little bit more impenetrable, because they are looking a little bit sloppy. The other thing is poor Scooby's not getting any sort of run support at all. So the Tigers have scored 18 runs for Tarik Skubal over his last 10 starts, which is about 61 innings. It's about 2.6 runs per 9 innings. Since the All-Star break, or since the trade deadline, I think it was, we're averaging about 5.5 runs per game. So that's, much less, about half than we are with other pitchers. It's the second lowest out of the 74 qualified pitchers that are getting run support. The only lowest is Shane Baz with 2.2, barely lower than we're giving Tarik. So like, not only do we need to give Tarik some run support, just because he's on the mound doesn't mean he can work miracles. We need to give him some run support, and God, can we please just clean up these errors? Because come October, 1 error in an inning could derail your entire postseason. So it was a good reminder. The Athletics are not a good team. A good reminder to like, hey, let's play clean. Let's get through these games. Let's not make any errors. Let's try and just win them straight up.
Yeah, and I think that definitely you got to clean up the errors. I think that if you're looking at the Tigers roster, they're not a fantastic fielding team, regardless. You need to look at that infield, and just they're not stellar, and they're not going to be stellar. They're going to make an error or two, but it seems like they've just been piling up recently, yeah. And yeah, like you said, it's gonna lose games come late September, October, and yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like this used to happen like when Verlander was still a Tiger. Like, I don't know if like teams have their ace on the mound and they feel more pressure, like, oh, we have to get them run support, and then it kind of snowballs, like, oh shit, we haven't given them run support in 3 or 4 games. We really they try to press and try harder, and then they're even worse. I don't know how. It seems like it always happens, man. The ace is on the mound, and you can't get runs. So I'm hoping that changes.
Yeah. So they have some time. Seems like the division is a little more winnable now, or a little more comfortable at the moment. So we'll continue to update you guys as we go down the line here.
Magic numbers too. I don't think we're quite in magic number territory, but give it another week or two and we'll be there. So
I believe last night's loss actually, even though we got closer to our magic number. So
Yeah.
we'll start bringing that up for you guys. Obviously, that's the amount of games we need to actually clinch the division. So again, we will start bringing that to you guys here shortly as we get to the closer to the end of the season. We do have some real quick one Pistons thing, and then we'll wrap up the show with some grit of the week. So the Pistons thing, my boy Malik Beasley has been cleared of all charges. The FBI is dropping their targeting investigation of him. We've said it for months. I have that he's been on social media, been on Snapchat, been on Instagram, saying like, I'm not worried at all. Like, guys, just wait till this comes out. Like, I'm having a great off season. I kept saying, I had his back, saying like, this is probably going to work out, and that like we're going to get a few years of cheap Malik. I think it was last week or 2 weeks episode. I made that new segment of like bold statement of the week. And I said, Malik Beasley is going to play for Detroit this upcoming season. Lo and behold, 2 days later, he was cleared of all wrongdoing. So just real quick to remind you guys what exactly was going on. So he obviously was working towards, he had a fantastic year for Detroit. He was working towards a 3-year, $42 million deal until the FBI released news that they were investigating him for illegally betting on NBA games. It actually was reported and given him, I think he was served during the NBA playoffs. So I know he didn't play super great in the playoffs. Maybe that had something to do with it. Now it's a little bit weird because a lot of the rosters are filled. A lot of the money has been allocated elsewhere. The max that Beasley can sign with Detroit is a 4-year, $30.9 million deal. He could take that and be happy here in Detroit for 4 years. He could also sign a 1-year deal worth $7.2 million, bumping his 4-year potential earning to about $48 million. That kind of seems that it's going to be 1 year around 7.2, just based on how Trajan Langdon likes to operate. Maybe, essentially getting Malik Beasley the money, what he would probably likely do. So it's likely he's going to try and find that 1-year deal somewhere. There are a few teams out there that could give him that deal and give him a little more money than Detroit. He said on record he loves Detroit. He has family from here. He feels like the city embraced him this last season. He had the best season of his career. I think he likes playing alongside Cade. We love him here. It really is going to come down to how the front office and like the players treated him during this investigation. Did they have his back behind closed doors and they're like, hey, just wait this out, buddy. We'll figure it out later. Or were they like, hey, you kind of screwed us right before free agency. What the hell? And where did they kind of maintain that relationship? Because I'll say this. If Malik Beasley comes back and plays next year and it's not for Detroit, it's going to break me, dude. I don't think I can stomach that. It's going to absolutely break me.
Man, Bees was our guy, man. We were sitting courtside last December, and yeah, he was just jawing it up with him. He's awesome, man. He's great to see live, great to see on TV, great for the Pistons. I mean, did the FBI just completely cause him to fumble this bag? Like, is this like, this is not his fault, seemingly, unless there's something more that comes out and he's actually, I don't know, indicted again. Seemingly, he has done nothing wrong. The FBI has now stopped targeting him in this investigation, and yep, he's now sitting on the sideline, no bag. Like, I mean, this fucking sucks for me.
There's people online who think a larger, more powerful organization or two had something to do with this to try and get him away from Detroit and get him on a cheaper deal so they can try and bring him in and help their team. Not saying that's true. People on Twitter are saying that could be the case because you're right. The FBI just absolutely screwed him over. And you look at guys like, so Terry Rozier, point guard in the NBA, he had the same thing going on with him. This started like almost like a year. I think it was like a year before Malik was even investigated. So like his was going on well before. He's still being investigated. So there's, where there's smoke, there's fire with him. Obviously, there was nothing here. So, like, it truly was. They must have just had nothing. And now Malik is a free man. And damn well I would be wearing my Malik Beasley shirt if I wasn't wearing it in last week's episode, still in the dirty clothes. I just haven't watched it since. Or else I would be wearing it right now because my boy Malik is free. Again, if he doesn't play for Detroit next year, I will be absolutely heartbroken. Last year for us, he averaged 16.3 points per game, 2.6 rebounds on 42% from 3-point range. It was a historic year. And like he's not gonna follow that up with the exact same numbers. Like it's just probably not likely. But you and I were talking as soon as this cleared and the news came out. Like I sent you the lineup in probably the second unit. That is a 1-2 unit that can make noise. Like that there was scoring in East, there's 3-point shooting in East, there's defense in East. Like I love that first unit and second unit Pistons lineup and potential. Like if he doesn't suit up for Detroit, it's gonna break me.
And this it sucks for a couple different reasons. Like, yes, Forward looking, sucks for Malik Beasley. It sucks for the Pistons that, they had a chance to offer him this money and couldn't do it because of the investigation. Malik Beasley doesn't get this money, obviously, because of the investigation. Also, the timing of the investigation. Did you see it literally came out right before game one of the Knicks series, or maybe right after game one?
Yeah.
I mean, it literally coincided with that series. So I mean, you can't blame the guy for struggling. He's got all this shit, all this baggage now. And he's got to go out there and still, play basketball, even though he's, maybe done no wrongdoings. You got to think that still affects you a little bit. So yeah, it sucks at the time. It sucks now. And it really sucks for both Bees and the Pistons, because they would have offered them this money and it would have been well deserving. What was he? He was, maybe going to get 42, like 3-year 43 or 4-year 43, whatever
42,
it was.
Yeah, that's what they were working towards.
So yeah, I mean, it just sucks for everyone involved. And now, I mean, I wouldn't fault him at all for leaving and still trying to get as much of a bag as he can, knowing that he earned this bag and he would have had it if not for the FBI. So man, this sucks, man.
Don't say that. Don't put that into the internet. Don't even let him know that that's a possibility. Like I said, it can truly just come down to how did the front office and the Pistons organization treat him during all of this? Were they like, hey man, we got your back. You just understand we can't do anything about it right now. Come, and when it gets settled out, we'll figure it out. We're with you together. Or if they were like, hey, you kind of fucking screwed us to start free agency, and we gotta scramble a little bit, and where they kind of don't let the door hit you on the way out. I pray that's not the case. I pray that we can come on here in a few weeks and they figured it out, and he signs a 1-year deal for $7.2 million, and with the expectations that after that he'll have earned his bag, and we'll keep him here for 3 more years after that, and get it figured out, and everyone's all happy and ready to go. But yeah, so we did have that. That was the only thing we had from the Pistons. Again, I think I said last week or 2 weeks ago, Javonte Green's news came out. Everyone noticed that we had an open roster spot. Still is open. People are talking this for Malik, and then news came out that he has been freed. So we'll update you guys if any changes there. I might even call an emergency podcast or something if he gets a deal figured out or something. I'd be that excited. So
hell yeah.
We're at about an hour mark. Let's wrap up with some grit of the week. I can start us off. My grit of the week. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go to the baseball diamonds. We just talked about the Tigers and them playing a little bit sloppy. One guy that has not been playing sloppy, has been absolutely raking since we sent him down, is Andy Ibanez. Andy Ibanez is my grit of the week. So if you guys remember last year, Andy was just an absolute lefty killer. He was pivotal for us in the playoffs. I think he actually had basically the hit against the Astros that allowed us to win that game. Mm-hmm. He's been fantastic.
Off Josh Hader.
Yeah, off Hader, exactly. He was fantastic. Starting this past season, just wasn't hitting left-handed hitters as much as he had the year before. Was really struggling a little bit. Just kind of wasn't doing what we needed him to do. Was for the first at least month hitting in the 100s, the batting average, and then slowly moved that up into the 2s. And eventually we sent him down and brought up Jemai Jones, who has been up and down himself, and at times been great, at times been really bad. Since we brought Andy Ibanez back up, based on basically injuries and stuff, back on the very end of July. So this is going on a month of data, so a decent sample size, 40 at-bats. He is hitting .350 with an OPS of .925, 14 hits, 7 runs, 2 home runs. He has just 5 strikeouts. I mean, .350 with an OPS of .925 is absolutely insane for a guy that crushes left-handed hitters, and a journeyman that's I guarantee you he's older than you think. He's 32, almost 33 years old. He's the type of guys that when he plays well, this team can do anything, because he's not your superstar that everyone's expecting to carry the team. He's just a utility guy you can put wherever you need him to, and he's playing fantastic since we brought him up. So he's playing his role perfectly. Grit of the week to Andy Ibanez.
Love that, man. You mentioned Jemai Jones too, who's been very good this year for what he is. But dude, I love the take. Grit of the week, Andy Ibanez. Yeah, he's a legend, man. I mean, that game against the Astros last season, just the most clutch. I think the bases were loaded, or at least second and third, and it cleared them. I think they were bases loaded and it cleared it. That double, triple he had, whatever, against the Astros in that playoff game. So he's already a legend in my eyes. But yeah, it's good to see him hitting at the right time. So love that, man. I'm gonna stick on the gridiron, man. Guy who I already talked about, and I hope that I'm not just talking this guy up too much and he's gonna suck. My grit of the week though, Isaac Tesla, man. I mean, he is just catching touchdowns after touchdowns preseason, obviously. I'm going to take it with a bit of a grain of salt, but also not really. He's the truth. He's got to be the truth, man. Like I'm like this close to buying an Isaac Tesla jersey, and that's dangerous, man. Especially rookie who's wide receiver 3 on your team at best right now. But I don't know, man. He looks fast. I think that Tesla on the back of a jersey would look really good. The double A, I think it's a uppercase S, whatever it is. However he spells his name, dude, he's sick, man. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. Tesla, whatever it is. He's getting grid of the week, though. He's catching touchdowns left and right.
I mean, like I said, I think each game that passes, he's going to earn more and more trust. And by the end of the season, he's going to be far and away our receiver 3, that X receiver, that like a receiver 3 on the depth chart, but like he's going to run specific routes and be a receiver 1 when you need someone to go up and high point the ball. Yeah, he's been great. He's been great against preseason stuff. I think he's shown, like if we had another preseason game, I don't think you play him. I think he's shown that he's better than preseason.
Right.
He's ready for the real thing. So I wish we liked different teams more so we can make bets, and I could we could wager like a jersey, and I could be like, all right, you win, I'll buy you a Tesla jersey. I win this. I wish we liked different teams so we could make more bets like that. But that's a great grid of the week. I have a feeling it's not going to be Isaac's last grid of the week, but
no way.
Let's hope
I'm going to give it to him. But he's going to be the new grid of the week merchant. Like he's going to get it a lot.
I love that. All right, that is our show. Thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode. You can find both Kyle and I on Twitter at Kyle_Marino and Dutton_Tyler. You can follow the podcast itself on Instagram or on TikTok at Gridiron Report. We're posting clips every single day to both of those, so you can follow us there. You can follow us on Twitter at Gridiron Report 1, or you can also watch us on YouTube at Gridiron Report. We're trying to build our YouTube foundation a little bit more, so give us a watch over there. Subscribe to the page there. If you're into streaming or gaming or anything, jump over to our other podcast under the Mic Drop Studios umbrella. That's called Party Chat. They bring great stuff every single week. Give them a listen. Finally, join the conversation next week by calling into the Gridiron Report voicemail for us to play and discuss on the podcast as we get into NFL season. We want to hear your guys' take on guys and different matchups and different games coming up. So make sure you guys are calling into this 313-306-7939. Give us your 2 cents. We'll play it on the podcast, discuss it, get you guys involved. Also, just a little plug, as the NFL season is going through, I'm going to be going to try and find the best wings in Detroit. So you guys could be calling that hotline. Give us your best wings in Detroit, where you think it is. I will go there. I will get a few. We'll give them a rating, trying to find the best wings for football in Detroit. And then if you like this episode, please take a moment to rate it 5 stars and leave us a little review saying so. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, y'all. Restore the roar, baby.
Every highlight's a journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retire. Grit iron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on, blast beats thunder and loud. Champions are born from the roar of the crowd. The Gridiron Report, where the stories are proud. Tune in, bring the heat, make your fandom a vow.